Welcome back to Little Fix, Big Life. We're Demi and Johnny, and after years of dreaming about life by the sea, we've packed up our entire lives to begin again in southwest Wales. This week we rebuild the wall between the two bedrooms.
We have a quick trip to Birmingham to visit my brother and our first Christmas market of the year.
We have our first snow here in Wales, and we have a really exciting installation.
So this is where we got to last week, where we have our bedroom, only slightly dusty, with a whole wall knocked through. You can see the spare room is currently open, full of all our clothes, partly covered with dust sheets. But the aim is to get this wall extended and back up, so that we can then go back to having the two rooms, and we can hopefully have a mostly dust-free bedroom for a while.
So now that we have knocked down the wall, for the most part, we need to figure out where the new wall is going to go. So what I've done is I've taken the laser level, basically lasered through the line of the existing wall, and we've marked it here. So then I need to go back the thickness of plasterboard and skim, which is 15mm. And then I know that's where my next stud, my first stud, needs to go to then start studding it out. But obviously that's right where the light switch is. So I'm going to try and uncover the wire and carefully peel it out of the way so I can get the new stud work in, and then it's ready for an electrician to come and correctly put it in. So this is the line where the original wall was. We're planning to move it 800mm over to there, so it's got more than enough depth for the new wardrobes that will go in. So I've marked where I'm going, allowed for plasterboard and skim to know where the other side's going to be, to make sure we have sufficient room left in the spare bedroom. Yes, now we've got the main shape. We've got the heads, the footers or the base plate, and the two ends in. We now need to get the main runner studs. The plasterboard that I've got is metric, so it's 2.4 by 1200. So what you want to do is off the wall, mark 1200, which wants to be the centre of our stud, so it catches half the end of the board and half the start of the next board. So actually what you want to then do is come back 20 mil to 1180 and put across to the right hand side. So that means the edge of the stud will be in the right place for the centre of the, the edge of the stud will be the right place for the edge of the board. So then that mark, we're doing 600 centres for this wall because it's not structural, it doesn't matter, that's fine. So we can go back 600, mark to the right, keep going all the way along with 600s, knowing that we've got that offset to the centre, to the edge of the board. So they should all finish in the right place for boarding. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4 uprights on this wall, and then there'll be one going in the middle of that one. So the main shape of the wall is now up, and I've boarded one side and the electrics are just about all in place. What I need to do is, where I cut this before, I just need to trim it back further, so we're 15 mil back from this, so that when the plasterboard comes through, it'll be one smooth line through. So I need to chisel that back. I've got some sound insulation to go in the wall, and then board this side as well. Yeah, so we've chopped that all back now. That's good to go. Next up, we've got the installation. We've gone for acoustic roll. Obviously, we're trying to stop the sound more than anything else between the internal walls. It's 50mm thick. This stud is 70mm thick. But what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 layers and sort of squash it in because it's not for warmth. It doesn't need quite as much air around it, and so we'll fill it in. It comes in a 1200 roll, but pre-cut in half, so it's now at 600. These are actually 600 centres, so they're a bit narrow, but it should mean that when we put it in, it should hold itself in place quite well.
So after a good clean and tidy, this is where we're at. Our main worry about moving this wall was that this spare room was going to then feel too small. Now we can see it with everything in place. We're feeling really good that it doesn't. We're pretty confident that once it's completely plastered and painted and everything's been decorated nicely, it'll be a really nice place for our guests to stay. Then in our room, you've got to use your imagination just a little bit, but hopefully you can now see exactly where we're planning on putting some big built-in wardrobes. So eventually we'll be able to put all of our clothes behind doors, and the room itself will feel no smaller, but have a huge amount of storage. Again, we're really pleased with how this has turned out, and we can't wait to get it finished off now. We also had our final weekend away for the year, visiting Johnny's brother James in Birmingham. We had an amazing time walking the dog, seeing his new house. We went into Birmingham on the Saturday night, some amazing fried chicken at Bonehead restaurant. We also couldn't resist heading along to the Christmas market to start getting in the Christmas spirit with our first mulled wine of the year. So this week we had another really exciting installation. You'll have seen a few months back now we had air source heat pumps put in. We always knew we wanted to try and do solar and batteries, but we had to stagger them while we saved up the money to do the second half of it. But yeah, this week they're here. Did you want to explain what we've got?
Yeah, so we've got 22 solar panels on the front, and then we've got a 10 kilowatt hour battery, and we also went for the gateway, which basically means that if there's a power cut within like a millisecond, it then converts the power straight over from the grid onto the battery, so that if you were using, I don't know, a computer inside, for example, it would happen so quickly it doesn't turn off, and then we switch straight onto that, and it means that obviously in a power cut we get to keep having power. Quite often with solar setups, even if they've got batteries, if they haven't got the gateway, if there's a power cut, they're not allowed to use that power because otherwise it can go backwards onto the grid. So we thought that was quite a good one to have.
Especially because within like a month of us arriving and moving in, we've been told by the other people in the village that last year they had 4 days without power or something. So although that's very, very extreme, it does happen. And since we've been here, we've seen loads of power cuts, and we have had a power outage or two already. Yeah. So we can kind of already see the value, having only been here 9 months or so already.
And obviously now we're watching the app that tells us exactly how much we're producing and what times a day we produce. And then now we're trying to optimize that with the air source heat pump to make sure that we're using the electricity when we're generating it rather than when we have to buy it.
So if anyone's got any tips or tricks or recommendations on optimizing solar batteries with the air source heat pump, we'd love to hear them. You've been deep diving into it, but from what we understand, it's a little bit of trial and error and work it out and get your timings right and things. So any tips on that would be amazing. So literally 2 days after we've had them installed, we have had a cold snap. You'll see all the layers we're wearing. We've actually had snow, which still hasn't melted 48 hours later. So it's been a real test for us again. So part of the whole optimizing it, we're going from super sunny days to -3-4 degrees with snow on the panels. So it's been a real learning curve for us this week.
And obviously seeing the difference in the amount of electricity used in the heat pump. I know some people were worried about it, but actually it's kept us warm very nicely, and it has obviously increased the amount, but not to the point of it's still better than if we'd stayed on the old boiler in terms of how much oil we were getting through, or at our previous house how much gas we were getting through. So it does still seem more efficient, and that was without obviously taking the solar into aspect that will now make it significantly more efficient.
So fingers crossed. Join us next time as we take another step forward trying to get ready for a Welsh winter. Thanks so much for joining again this week. If you're enjoying our videos and our updates, we'd absolutely love it if you could like and subscribe to help us keep growing our channel. This is Little Fix, Big Life. We'd love to have you along for the ride.